committed, hardworking, and extremely humble. Associate Judge of the New York State Court of Appeals, the Honorable George Bundy Smith has been the quiet, gentle wind beneath the wings of so many. Judge Smith and his twin sister, District of Columbia Court of Appeals Judge Inez Smith Reed, entered this world in New Orleans, Louisiana. Exhibiting what would be a part of his lifelong character, Judge Smith, the consummate gentleman, stepped aside and allowed his sister Inez to be born first. Judge Smith, his sister, and their brother, Dr. Sidney R. Smith, now a biologist, were raised in segregated Washington, D.C. Their mother, a government worker and elementary school teacher, greatly influenced the paths Judge Smith and his siblings were to follow. An English teacher also influenced and inspired Judge Smith's lifelong interest in French culture. Judge Smith's brilliance gave him an opportunity provided to few blacks in the 1950s. Prestigious high school Phillips Andover Academy in Andover, Massachusetts, awarded him a full scholarship. He was the only black in his class. When he graduated from Phillips Andover in 1955, there were only 5 or 6 blacks in the entire school. Judge Smith's childhood aspiration was realized when he was admitted to Yale University in 1955, one of 4 blacks in a class of 1,000. During his college years at Yale, a courageous young George Bundy Smith sailed on the Mauretania in 1957 to France, where he immersed himself in study and French culture at the Institute of Political Studies of Paris. His immersion in French culture would assist him later as a commentator in fluent French for Canadian television and radio on legal issues. Judge Smith returned to Yale and completed his college education. In 1959, remarkably, Judge Smith and his twin sister were both admitted to Yale Law School. A telephone call in 1961 from Yale chaplain William Sloane Coffin altered Judge Smith's life forever. He was asked to accompany Coffin and a select few Yale and Wesleyan religious leaders to participate in the Freedom Rides from Montgomery, Alabama to Jackson, Mississippi. The first 2 buses to attempt the trip had been burned and stoned. Judge Smith was part of the 3rd attempt. Judge Smith arrived with 4 others in Montgomery on the 24th of May, 1961, to a city under martial law. The National Guard was necessary to protect the group from a hostile crowd of 2,000. Strategy for the 3rd bus trip was discussed over dinner with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and the Reverend Ralph Abernathy, with Judge Smith participating. The next morning, while preparing to board the bus at the Montgomery bus station, Judge Smith and many others were arrested and jailed for days. Judge Smith, the Reverend Abernathy, the Reverend Wyatt T. Walker, and others were convicted for breach of the peace and unlawful assembly. The conviction stood through 2 trials and a state appeal. In 1965, the U.S. Supreme Court in Abernathy v. Alabama reversed the convictions in a 1-sentence opinion. Judge Smith's experiences in segregated D.C., with racism in college at Yale, and the life-altering experience of the Freedom Rides led him from Yale Law School to the NAACP Legal Defense Fund. There, for 2 years, he wrote briefs for the United States Supreme Court and various appellate courts, and argued school desegregation cases in the South. The next 9 years, Judge Smith clerked for 3 judges, the Honorable John Sandover, the Honorable Edward Dudley, and the Honorable Harold Stevens, presiding justice of the First Department Appellate Division. In his non-working hours, Judge Smith earned a master's and a PhD from New York University in government. In 2004, he added a LLM degree from the University of Virginia. In 1974, Mayor Abraham Beame appointed Judge Smith the administrator of Model Cities for New York, a federally funded program designed to improve the quality of life in urban areas. When President Nixon dismantled the program, Mayor Beame appointed Judge Smith to an interim civil court vacancy in 1975. Judge Smith was then elected to a 10-year civil court seat where he served until 1980, when he was elected to the Supreme Court, 1st Judicial District. In 1986, Governor Mario Cuomo appointed Judge Smith to the 1st Department Appellate Division. In 1992, Governor Cuomo called again, and this time appointed Judge Smith to the Court of Appeals. After an unprecedented questioning by the New York State Senate on his judicial philosophy, handled ably by Judge Smith, he was confirmed by the State Senate on the 24th of September 1992 and was sworn in by Chief Judge Saul Wackler. When questioned during confirmation hearings about his judicial philosophy, Judge Smith answered, "I do not bring a philosophy to cases. I try to decide each case on its merits." His record on the Court of Appeals holds true to this statement. Judge Smith is uniformly regarded as thoughtful, fair-minded, and thoroughly prepared. A full understanding of Judge Smith comes with knowing the heart of the man and the quiet, unwavering force he has been in so many ways and in so many lives. He found a life partner, Dr. Aileen Smith, professor of education at Hunter College, whom he married in 1964. Together, they raised 2 children in Harlem, George Bundy Smith, Jr. and Beth Smith. The couple collaboratively produce a textbook for high school students on the Bill of Rights. Family, both his own and his court family, are extremely important to Judge Smith. His secretary Barbara has been with him for over 2 decades, and all 20 of his law clerks over the years speak highly of the experience of working with Judge Smith. His time and energies have not been devoted solely to his own children, but to children in need of guidance. While on the Court of Appeals, Judge Smith mentored a young boy in trouble in family court, attending sporting events, dinners, and cultural events with him. The young boy was known to show up at Judge Smith's chambers for homework help. Judge Smith continues to influence lawyers of the future by teaching at Fordham Law School. Judge Smith is reported to work from 6:30 a.m. to well after midnight. His wife has reported that Judge Smith's briefcase filled with work has been cited at weddings, graduations, and other unexpected places. But he somehow always finds the time to do more for the greater good. Numerous organizations have benefited by Judge Smith's dedication to serving. Judge Smith has been an active member of the Grace Episcopal Church in Harlem for more than 20 years, serving as a trustee for many of those years. The Metropolitan Black Bar Association was steadied and flourished during the many years Judge Smith served as the chairman of the board, and he has been a supporter of the Judicial Friends since its inception. Judge Smith has also been an active member and officer of the Association of the Bar of the City of New York. He has been a trustee at Horace Mann Barnard School, Phillips Academy, and a member of the board of Harlem Dowling West Side Center for Children and Family Services. Tonight, the Judicial Friends honors Judge George Bundy Smith for a lifetime of scholarship and commitment to fairness and equality. We salute the scholar, the family man, the dedicated public servant, the quiet hero, and our beloved colleague. We thank him for being the gentle wind beneath our wings.